So it's no secret that this has happened. It's no secret that I've cheated on my wife, not just once, but multiple times. You see, it was 9 years ago that this affair started. It was 9 years ago that I started down the course of thinking that I could do whatever I wanted to do because all I had was just me. Even though I was married, even though we got married 10 years ago, even though I was married, I was thinking like, oh, this is still not what I want. Like, this is not the marriage that I want. This is not the connection that I want. Like, it feels awful. Like, we were combining and being like, oh, we're two only kids. And I'm only thinking selfish in my mind. My wife had no clue who she was getting involved with because she had no clue about narcissism. I had no clue about narcissism, just that I wanted what I wanted, you know? And so 9 years ago, I started on the route of being in an affair, being in a relationship with another woman that brought into my own house that my wife interacted with, not knowing that this person I was having an affair. And when she would ask me about it, I would lie about it. When she would ask me about it, I would tell her everything else but the truth. 9 years ago, this affair started up, and this affair continued to go for another year until it finally came out. And when it came out, I was faced with the aspect of my wife finding out when she saw a text message to me of going to the pastor and saying, hey, this is something that I need to talk to you about. And so 9 years ago, she left. 9 years ago. Well, 8 years ago, she left because it was after her. She like threw everything in the car, like drove off, pissed off. Rightly so. And I remember the day I walked down to the place where I was going to meet the pastor. This is a while back, but walked down to the place where I was going to meet the pastor and completely threw him off guard because it was me and it was the affair partner walking up to him being like, hey, by the way, we've cheated. And this whole thing ensued, even with the church, of them trying to like kick me out of all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't have a clue of what the fuck I was doing. I just knew I wanted what I wanted. I didn't want it anymore because it's falling apart. Too many people were fighting about it. So I was like, I got to get this out. 9 years ago, started on a path of destruction to destroy my life, to destroy my marriage, to destroy the family, to destroy every single thing. From my marriage to relationship with God to connection with other people, started down this path. 2 weeks ago, my wife and I had an amazing weekend away. We were resort hopping over in Orlando, going to different Disney resorts, a bunch of different things, going to these like nice places, touching on dreams that we never thought we could be able to touch on. Of being able to say, this reality we'd never thought was actually going to be here. Of being able to wake up in the morning, be beside her and say, hey, this is something that I never thought was going to be in the cards because of how I showed up, because of the person that I was that continued to push her away over and over and over and choose other people over and over and over. But here we are, enjoying a great time. We drove down to another place, went to this big concert, had a fantastic time at a concert. Just really like enjoyed loving spending the time together. Then we went from resort to resort, jumping in different pools, hanging out, going doing different things that we want to do, things that we connected on. And this connection piece never could have been there without first honesty. Honest of what happened, and honest of what was coming, and honest of how I was showing up, and honest of me. You see, a lot of you are stuck in different relationships where the other person hasn't been honest with you. How many of you right now have been in a relationship with someone that hasn't been honest? Type in me. Type in me into the chat and say, hey, I know I've been in a relationship with someone who hasn't been honest. They've lied, they've cheated, they've stolen, they've done all these different things. And it's painful and it hurts. I was the person who did that. I was the person who showed up that way. So I don't come from a place that's like, oh, I'm better than anyone else. No, I've been the worst because of what I've done. But the difference now is being able to have a connection with her that I've never had before because I was willing to first and foremost be honest. You see, if you're in a relationship today and you are not with someone who is willing to be honest about themselves, honest about the shit that they've done, honest about the stuff that they need to own, you're not going anywhere. You're living a lie. You're living in a fantasy of a relationship. There's too many of you who have struggled to connect with someone, and that person has held back more of them while they've given it to other people. So part of the process of moving through this was, one, me stopping lying. Did that stop the first time? No. How long did it take for the first affair to get out and for me to flesh it out? Probably close to a year. Because I did these drip truths of like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. And she would start to get better. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. And pull her back and pull her back and pull her back and mess with the head. Many of you know what I'm talking about because this has happened to you, or you've questioned your reality because this other person hasn't been honest or hasn't been truthful to you. But the first aspect is I had to stop lying. I had to be honest. Not just with her, not just with my therapist, not just with my coaches, not just with my parents, with my family, with everyone, which is why I started on social media. Not 9 years ago, about like 3 years ago. Because there was more work that had to be done in my life to get to the place where I was willing to just stand and say, hey, this is the truth. So I saw when the live came up, people were like, wait, like all this kind of stuff is going on? Be like, yeah. This is what has happened. This is what has been my life. And the difference is how we show up now. Like comparatively, 8 years ago, for running out the door because she was mad at me because I cheated and destroyed, to yesterday being able to spend a good 45 minutes on the couch holding her and talking to her. And dealing with deep heart stuff. That's a reality I never would have imagined. But it has to start with being honest. With being honest, it has to start with being honest to myself. If you're in a relationship with a toxic person and he is not willing to be honest with himself, you have no relationship. There is nothing you can actually build upon. Like when they build a house, they have to make sure that the foundation is firmly seated, is grounded. If not, it will slide, it will fall, the house will shift, and it will break apart. Some of you have built houses with these people. Some of you have built relationships with these people, and you've gotten to the place where you thought it was solid, all of a sudden to have it swept out from underneath you. Because he's been cheating, because he's been lying, because he hasn't been honest. If you find yourself in that place today and you're asking, how do I actually move forward? How do I actually get free? This is what we're trying to show people and how to break it down for people of how to be free from the toxicity that keeps you pulling back to a toxic person when you know logically you don't want to be with this person, when you know logically, hey, they've hurt me, when you know logically this has destroyed my life, but I still love them. Still care about them. Because even though that happened, my wife still didn't leave. She didn't know for a long period of time aspects of the trauma bond, aspects of rumination, aspects of things that would pull her back to me over and over and over again, and things that I wanted to keep her there because I didn't want to look bad to my friends, to my family, to my church. I wanted to make sure I looked good, so I had to be able to turn it in a certain way versus just saying, this is my truth. And that's what you get with a lot of society, a lot of churches, a lot of coaches, a lot of people that want to live plastic lives and aren't willing to own their shit. If you're in a relationship today with someone who is not willing to be honest, you have no relationship. There is no growth. There is no possibility of your change and of your development.